3 rounds of discussion with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from a Zoom call in Columbia, South Carolina, Matthew, aka the Unbreakable Spirit. And his opponent from a Zoom call in Atlanta, Georgia, Daniel, aka the Executioner. Take it away, Matthew.
Thank you, Jesse, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. This is episode number 94 of At Odds with the Unbreakable Spirit.
And the Executioner
Day. Fuck you, asshole.
Anyway.
Just remind people, we are 6 weeks away from episode number 100.
Yeah, great.
Sorry, let's run through the topics real quick.
Topic number 1.
Has the Bloodline story run too long? Our thoughts on the Women's Championship situation strictly in WWE.
Yeah.
And don't you have something to say?
Number 3.
We have one more topic.
Number 3.
Yeah. Will SmackDown this coming Friday, which is in Toronto, be the Rated R Superstars' last match? But before any of topic 3, we gotta do topic 1, which
obviously
I'm starting
now.
So, the Bloodline. One of the best examples of long-term storytelling in recent memory of WWE, in my opinion.
Completely agree on that. As long-term storytelling goes, this shit is great.
But how long is too long is the question.
I mean, because this is how I've learned to think about it. This is how I've honestly thought about it. Well, yes, I see why a lot of people think when the Bloodline storyline is going on for too long with all these double cross and all these a lot of people double crossing people in one storyline. That's the part of storytelling. You can't have storylines without double crossing.
Well, yes, true, but also keep in mind this started in the pandemic era of WWE. Like, when I say pandemic era, I mean Thunderdome.
Yeah. Because in my humble opinion, while I think the Bloodline storyline has been long, I think the only reason why WWE isn't going to take the title off of Roman is A, they need somebody that can carry the title like Roman has for 3 years, and B, this shit is making them a lot of money.
Oh, no disagreement there. But eventually the writers have to run out of ideas, and we might have seen that when they started having Jay fight Roman again.
Yeah, I mean, look, because truthfully, if you want this storyline to honestly continue, don't just have it people be in the bloodline. Have people, have it be people in the bloodline, but don't, the current people have other wrestlers from the Samoan dynasty get involved in this shit.
Yeah, like bring in the Elders, bring in Offensica, and bring in Rikishi.
Well, I mean, they kind of already did bring in Offensica.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, bring it back. No, bring in Rikishi, like I said.
Yeah, with the situation that is going on between the Uso brothers.
Yeah, Jey Uso literally quit WWE on
But-
SmackDown.
Now, here's my genuine question. Did he actually quit WWE, or are they just having him, quote, leave the company so they can have the Usos fight each other at Mania?
I would say probably the latter, but to sell like he is actually gone, WWE did move Jey Uso to the alumni section of the roster.
Now, you got the timer going, right?
Yes, I do. I've had
Okay.
it since I started talking.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, but
You haven't
No,
checked in a few weeks.
hey, that's fair. But in my opinion, while I think the Bloodline storyline has been going on for way too long at some point, it's just the question I get asked is, is there anybody that can honestly the WWE as well as Roman Reigns has since he's become the tribal chief? Is there anybody? Because if you're gonna take the title off of Roman Reigns, and keep in mind this month he's gonna reach 4 years as champion.
Yeah. Later this month, we need to check when. Well, 4 years as Universal Champion.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is, if you're gonna have somebody, whether it be Cody Rhodes, whether it be whoever it is, it needs to be a big deal, and you don't just want to sweep this under the rug when someone finally takes the title off of Roman.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I agree with you. Which I know people are probably getting tired of us agreeing on a show called At Odds. But stuff like this, it's typical for people to agree. But I still think that at some point, the fans are going to get tired. And I'm worried that if they get tired, they're going to start giving off go away heat, which means they'll be looking at their phones and stuff like that.
Yeah, that is fair. But look, the point I'm making, the point I want to say is, Roman Reigns, since this Bloodline storyline started over 3 years ago, I'm gonna be honest. This storyline has had more twists and turns than I think a lot of people were expecting.
Oh, for sure.
Because, be honest,
it's also had some comedic moments, mostly in part to Sami Zayn.
Agreed. But be honest. We're thinking, I've heard a lot of people say online, Jey Uso, that Jim Uso's portrayal is making no sense. But I'm like, we didn't even talk about this, but I know they said that he didn't want him to have the tribal chief power, and if you honestly think about it, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Within the context of the lore, of the real lore of the tribal chief, you gotta because a lot of people.
You're completely right, and I know I heard the timer go off, but I just want to say this. I've seen rumors and articles. Jey Uso leaving WWE might actually be legit, because I saw something about him possibly going to Impact or AEW.
Now, one more thing is, while happening, because I saw them do this interview with Ariel Helwani, an interview that they want that before the Usos call it a career, that is something they want, to face each other at Mania. Yeah, sure, maybe WWE could have them go to make a deal with other promotions just to drag it out for a few months and then out of nowhere he could return and cost his brother a match or something.
Yeah, and I could totally see WWE doing that for the record.
Yeah.
But we're probably going to return to this at a later date. Not like an evergreen topic or anything, but just to continue this conversation.
Yeah, all
We'll be
right.
back with part 2.
With topic 2.
Topic 2, right. Well, part 2 at a later date, and we'll be right back with topic 2.
Yeah, all right. Hello, everybody. We are back with topic number 2. The just in WWE.
Yeah.
Main roster
There's
and
issue-
NXT included.
Yes, because they're both parts of WWE.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, we sort of did this last week, but it was more of the
In general.
pro wrestling in general.
Yeah. See, this is my thoughts because I want to get away real quick. Is while I am glad that WWE gets the women's new titles on the main roster, I also thought that they could have just kept the Raw and SmackDown but moved the other titles like the Women's World Heavyweight or the SmackDown or the Raw Championship to be like a secondary women's title.
Yeah, and let's not forget, the one on SmackDown is called the Undisputed Women's Championship.
Yeah, because
Raw would like to have a talk with you.
Yeah, because okay. Wait, what do you mean by that?
If something is undisputed, how can there be a world championship? Like Roman is the undisputed Universal Champion.
You're talking about the
Yes.
Oh. Okay, because yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that was driving me nuts. And I'll explain my thoughts here. Is that how is that when you debut the title, it's called WWE Women's Championship, when at the bottom of the title it has the word undisputed?
Again, this goes back to something we've covered in the past. The laziness of WWE title designs.
Agree, but it's just like, because look, when you're like, take when you're trying to download a title on into in a WWE video game, but you don't really know if you want to download the WWE Undisputed Women's Championship or the WWE Women's Championship because they're the same titles, but the names confuse you.
Yeah. And it's like you mentioned this in the past. You frankly don't like the design of the Women's World Heavyweight Championship.
No, still don't.
You think it's ugly because is it like the white strap offsets it or something?
Yes.
Okay.
But like, and talk about NXT for a second. Is while I'm, because this is part of WWE, so this needs to be talked about. Is I'm glad that NXT has a women's championship. However, I think that both the main both NXT and the main roster deserve a secondary women's championship.
That is not a tag team title, for the record.
Yeah, for the record, not a tag team title.
NXT women don't even have a tag team title anymore.
Oh, right, because of the dumbass unification.
If you want our thoughts on title unifications, go back and listen to that episode.
Yeah, great. But yeah, my thoughts is like, so let me get back on the NXT Women's Championship. Is, don't get me wrong, that title doesn't change hands a whole lot in the WWE, but the only reason I personally believe that both the with WWE Women's and the NXT Women's and the WWE Women's Championship need a secondary title is because if you have certain people in your main event scene, you have an idea of who's gonna be eventually come back to the championship scene. Like, don't get me wrong, the Miss Money in the Bank does make things unpredictable for sure. But it's just if you got one title, everybody else is going to get lost in the shuffle and you might forget about them.
Yeah, and we did this last week when we suggested some ideas like NXT could have a women's North American, Raw could have a women's Intercontinental, SmackDown, a women's US. Stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. And my honest take is, you know what I'm not going to say, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are, if you want us to give a shit about, oh, this women's title is being defended, give us a reason to give a shit about it. I think the way of doing that is diversifying different women's divisions and giving them different prizes to go after.
Yeah. So what you're saying is instead of having like just the main two women's title, have other championships.
Yes. And also maybe give us more players. Like, remember that Sasha Banks and Bayley rivalry where they were literally playing hot potato with the WWE Women's Championship?
Wait, what rivalry?
Sasha Banks and Bayley.
No.
Or was it Charlotte and Bayley?
No, it was Sasha Banks and Charlotte.
Okay, well, you know what I meant.
They
were literally like playing hot potato.
Yes.
Hell, that's probably how Charlotte is now, like, what, a 15-time
14.
A 14-time women's champion. I bet half of those are from winning it from Sasha Banks.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. We'll be back with the
third and final topic. And we are back with the third and final topic. The potential retirement of Edge happening as of this recording tomorrow.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Edge did say that he wanted to retire at a WWE event in Toronto.
Yeah. My honest take from Edge's retirement is, I do say it is kind of very fitting that on the 20, they keep in mind, it is going to be...
Yeah, this is also going to be the 25th year celebration of the Ultimate Opportunist.
Yes. Now, and keep in mind, tomorrow he is going one-on-one for the first time ever with Sheamus.
And potentially last time.
Yes. And this is just my thought, but since Edge made his honestly shocking return all the way back in the 2020 Royal Rumble, my question is, what has Edge honestly done since coming back?
You mean aside from having the greatest wrestling match ever, which was really just mediocre?
Yeah.
Like, they built up so much hype for that match. They even had the ghost of Howard Finkel introduce them. And it was just a regular match. Edge started the Judgment Day, then promptly got kicked out.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If this Edge is live, this is the. I mean, don't get me wrong. With Edge, like since Edge's return, we've had 2 matches that we never thought we'd get. Actually, no, there's 3. We got AJ Styles versus Edge.
Yeah.
We got Edge v Roman.
Yeah.
We got Edge v we got that entire Edge Seth Rollins feud.
Yeah, and don't forget, we also got Brood Edge versus Demon Balor.
We also got in Edge's final run. We also got that triple threat match that nobody was expecting. The Daniel Bryan versus Edge versus Roman. 3 people that point were all forced to leave this business and then come back.
Well, okay, Roman had leukemia, and the second time he left was because he was immunocompromised. Daniel Bryan and Edge, I feel like they have similar stories in the fact that they were forced to retire and came back better than ever.
Yeah, because I will say, I am curious. One thing I wish we got while Edge was in WWE was just an Edge v Daniel Bryan feud, because that's just something I would. But look, the thing that I want to say about the Edge in WWE is, don't get me wrong, he's had, a really good, he's had a good rivalry with Randy, because he said, and I'm quoting him here, he said that when I came back to the WWE, Randy was the guy I wanted to have my first rivalry with.
Yeah, and it makes sense with their history and like rated RKO and all that stuff.
Yeah, and their history outside of that.
Yeah.
But my honest take, you know what? I'm gonna shut up. What is your thoughts about if this is
This is gonna sound weird, but I wish his last match was at a bigger event than a random ass episode of SmackDown.
Oh yeah, I completely.
Like we've talked in the past about how weird it is that monumental stuff has happened on a random ass episode of SmackDown.
Yeah, the unification of the
Both tag team titles, men's and women's.
Yes. Edge. We got Daniel Bryan's last match in WWE was on
random ass episode of SmackDown.
Yep.
That should be a topic for a future episode. Monumental stuff that happened on free TV.
Yeah, agreed. But if this Edge to be Edge's final match, and if he does lose to Sheamus, fucking do something with Sheamus.
Do something with the Brawling Brutes in general.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing that they've done is have that weird random rivalry with Imperium.
Right. Yeah.
Admittedly, it's because Sheamus was in a banger of a feud with Gunther.
Agreed.
But other than that, they've done nothing.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
We're not gonna fantasy booking fight the retirement of Edge. Okay, we might on a future episode, but it'll be a while from now.
Yeah, but my last thoughts is, if this Edge's final match, or if he doesn't, now, if you want Edge to actually, and this is just an idea, but if you didn't want Edge to retire in Toronto, you could do what you did with Ric Flair. If he loses one match, he has to retire.
Yeah. And keep in mind, this is Edge's, like, technically his third retirement.
Third.
Yeah, he had to leave WWE once after he broke his neck in the Attitude Era,
Right.
and he came back. Then he had to retire again in 2011 after the Double Fusion.
And as World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah. Alright, I just thought of this. If this was Edge's final... If this wasn't Edge's final match,
Okay.
I would have Edge go to Monday Night Raw,
Turn heel.
and turn heel, and ask Rollins, I want one more match. You and me in Toronto for the title I never lost.
Yeah.
If
Do
I
it.
lose, I will retire.
Do a title.
If I win the match that I lose that title, I will retire for good.
Yes. Yeah. I'd be okay with that being on a random ass episode.
Yeah.
Edge versus Rollins for the world title. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Roll that outro.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with episode 95.
All right,
Roll that outro. Thank you for listening to At Odds, hosted by the Unbreakable Spirit
and the Executioner,
edited by the Unbreakable Spirit. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MTS_life_0126.
You can follow me on Instagram at DanTravis21, and you can also follow me on the Twitter at DanTheExecutioner21.
And you can follow the podcast at Odds Podcast. We'll be back next week with more debates and discussions. But until then, the Executioner and the Unbreakable Spirit will still be at odds.
Thank you, losers.